Every good Christmas book tells us that Christmas is the most magical time of the year. You know, snowy weather, family feasts, and if you're lucky, a romance to last you the year. But the reality? Not always so magical. Whether you find yourself far from family or just for your own reasons, you're just not really feeling the Christmas magic this year, you're not alone, because me too. But I am determined. I want to get into the Christmas spirit so bad, so I have a plan. I am turning to my trusty books to help me through this time. Essentially, the plan is very simple. I'm going to spend the week reading some Christmas books, doing some Christmas activities, all before going to the Christmas markets at the end of the week, all in the hope that I maybe can find a little bit of that Christmas magic. Well, this morning I woke up and the weather is miserable. It is so rainy, like torrential. It's the wettest it's been, which is kind of on point for all of the Christmas themed songs. What is it? The weather outside is frightful. So yeah, it seems like the best day to be getting into this. So this is not even half the books that I have on my TBR for this list. I don't anticipate that I'm going to get through them all, but I really wanted a kind of subsect of my reading preferences. Just to kind of wrap up the year, I wanted to have a little bit of everything. So I've got some mystery, a YA, romance of course, and I have a queer romance on the way. Hopefully that comes in time. Oh, and I have a fantasy. It's super weird. I tried reading it the other day, so I'm interested how that's gonna go. Today we're kicking off the challenge with a very popular Christmas read, holiday romance, which very aptly named. I kind of downloaded this the other day thinking that I would open it, read a few pages. Yeah, I'm at 40% now. So far, if you don't know anything about this book, it is essentially a sunshine, grumpy, friends to lovers. I'm not at the lovers part yet, but we're assuming it's called holiday romance. So we've seen Molly, who is a lawyer. She is Irish, and each year she goes back to Ireland. And in the first year, she encounters this guy, Andrew, on the plane. He is also Irish. He is the sunshine to the grumpy of the duo, and he's very like pro-Christmas, and she is very anti-Christmas. And so there's that dynamic going on. And the book essentially follows their trips together over the last 10 years. Kind of jumps between past, present, the trip 10 years ago, 9 years ago, yada, yada, yada. And so far it's been really fun. The banter is on point. I can't say that I'm normally a fan of the friends to lovers dynamic, just in general, but I'm still enjoying the read. I'm gonna get into this read today. It's cozy weather. I am in the most cozy of attire. I'm gonna curl up next to my dog, who is also having none of this weather. She's a paid actor at this point. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so this is kind of fun. I just got to a section. They're trying to get back to Ireland in this 10th trip, and everything just starts to go wrong, and they're struggling to find a flight because of a snowstorm. But they end up in London, and they're about to go explore London at Christmas, which is very fitting because next week that is what I'm going to be doing. So I'm kind of excited to be reading about it before doing it, and hopefully maybe I'll get some inspiration for when I'm in London next week. So we'll see. Okay, morning reading's been going really well. I think I am 46% of the way through. Haven't made a huge dent, but I really want to get out of the house, so I'm going to take Maya for a walk. But where I usually walk Maya, I just got a message from my partner Jake saying that it's completely flooded. So I don't really know I'm going to walk her, but I'm going to at least go check out to see this flooding. And then I'm going to probably take my Kindle and finish reading at a local cafe. Alrighty, so that is a wrap on Holiday Romance by Catherine Welsh. There were so many bits I loved about this book. It was cute, it was cozy, it had travel in it, which is always a win for me, and it had so many elements that I was looking for from a Christmas romance, holiday romance, if you will. Everyone's made that joke, haven't they? Yeah. Anyway, I did really like it. I think the one thing I didn't like about it is just a personal preference. The friends to lovers trope just doesn't really do it for me. All that is to say, I gave this one a 3.5 star, maybe a 3.75, yeah. And the major downside was the friends to lovers trope. But yeah, overall, feeling a little more Christmassy. Anyway, I am gonna call it for today, and I don't know if I'm gonna go mystery next or if I'm gonna go short story, funny. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I get in the mood for tonight. So last night after finishing the romance, I wasn't quite ready to jump into a mystery. And so I had the perfect book on my TBR. I'm gonna give a little bit of a trigger warning that the cover is terrifying. So yeah, just a heads up. But this is my current read. It is, I believe, it's Krampus.
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of this horned anthropomorphic figure in alpine folklore who, during the Christmas season, scares children who have misbehaved. How do you go about pronouncing it? Krampus.
So we're reading Krampus, Krampus the Yule Lord. In this book, we're looking at like folklore, pagan myth, or pagan tradition, I guess you would say. We essentially meet Jesse, who's a bit of a deadbeat dad. He's living in Boone County, West Virginia, and he is kind of just down and out. He's living in a trailer park. Life's a bit hard. His wife's left him for the local sheriff, and they're having a bit of a spat. He's threatening to arrest Jesse. It's a whole thing. This is kind of the tone for life. And so on Christmas Eve, we see Jesse sitting in his car, and all of a sudden there's this big commotion. He sees what he describes as the Santa Man being chased down the road by these demonic looking feathery individuals that he calls the Devilmen. Very aptly named. And they have a big kerfuffle. Santa takes off in his sled. He's up in the sky. Jesse's there sitting, being like, what am I witnessing right now? Thinking he's drunk, but he's not because he's sober. And then one of the demon people falls from the sky, and so does something else into his house. He goes into his house, he finds Santa's bag, and now we're entering a big sequence of events where he's kind of trying to turn his life around with this bag. And he's doing all this until he encounters the demon men who lead him back to Krampus. And that's kind of all in the premise. That's all happened in the first 24% through. And we've just met Krampus, and essentially we're starting to see that oh wait, this guy that, Santa's typically said to be this really nice guy. He's giving kids presents and traveling all around the world, and he's magical and lives in the North Pole, and it's essentially deconstructing this narrative that we have of Santa, which I find really interesting because I love a good mythology. I love a little alternative history. I'm very here for it. It seems to be a really fun story so far. It's very dark. I think we're just gonna look at the darker side of Christmas, essentially. I'm excited to keep going. I'm gonna cozy up and we're gonna read about Krampus and figure out what his story is, and maybe if he's the good guy. I don't know. Feels like maybe he has been wronged by Santa, and I want to know. So let's do it. Oh no. Okay, that's how we're doing this. Oh, that was grubby. The artwork in this is insane also. There's all these really cute art of the characters in between. I'm thinking that must be Krampus. Mr. Krampus in all his glory with his tail and horns. Alrighty. Oh. Okay. Nail guns, rude torture tool. That's what I'm gonna say. Okay, so it's been a few days since I last recorded, and last time I was reading Krampus the Yule Lord. And I actually had to take a few days to fully engage with this book, because to be honest, I don't think I really got it in the beginning. When I started, I was like, okay, we've got this kind of Grinchy style devil creature, and we've got Santa Claus, and there's a feud, and there's kind of some mythology going on. I didn't quite grasp it. And now that I've finished it, I'm like, oh, I just was, I think, a little bit misled going into it, or I just didn't fully understand it. And now that I'm finished it, I'm going to say this is probably I'm going to have to sit on it for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure this might be my 5-star read for this video. And I think I'm going to have to give a deeper review on it at a later point because I'm still sitting with it a little bit. But overall, it's at least a 4.5. It was so good. It was dark. It was kind of gruesome at points, but then it was like very sweet at the end and very satisfying. So anyway, that one is wrapped, and I'm diving into the next one. But before I do, it's officially approaching Christmas very quickly, and we do not have a tree up yet. So we're going to go out, hunt down a tree. Not actually, but we're going to go get a tree and officially get into the Christmas spirit. Christmas came early. I'm so excited. So essentially yesterday we managed to get the tree. We did not do any Christmas card writing, so that's still on the to-do list for Christmas. But I think I can tick off one more Christmassy thing because I just got some mail and I'm very excited. So a little fun fact about me is for the last 4 years, I've actually been traveling full time. And one thing I kept seeing was these monthly book subscription services. And I was like, well, that would be really nice. If I ever have a house, I'm gonna get one of those. I have a house. I'm gonna get one of those. I signed up for Afterlight by Illumicrate. So I'm gonna give it go. I'll let you know what I think. This is actually one of my Christmas reads. I was a little bit worried it wasn't gonna make it here, to be honest, but it did. Santa God's delivered. Okay. My dog's just waking up. It has actual sprayed edges. Look at that. Oh my goodness. It's so cute. Okay, hold on. I've just seen that there's a cover. Okay, I don't have context for I'm so excited my words aren't coming out. Oh, and the artwork. This book is my queer rom-com for the season. I love Ashley Herring Blake. I'm like halfway through her second, Delilah and Astrid, the second one, and I just picked up, actually. I literally just found this at the secondhand store the other day, so I've got the third one of the Delilah Green series, and we love a queer rom-com. So that's on the next one. The other exciting delivery that I got today, I actually thought that this was going to be a Christmas present, but it's not. The Christmas present I ordered hasn't come yet, but that's fine. Hopefully it'll get here. But this is actually Christmas jumpers. Jake and I have never had Christmas jumpers because I can never seem to order them on time, and I'm really hoping this is going to pan out. I'm kind of nervous, and worst case, I'm gonna steal Jake's because his is really cute. I got mine and I wasn't sure if I'd like it. Alrighty, let's see how we go. Moment of truth. Oh, it's pretty cute. And it's the North Pole Book Club. It's a good size. We have coverage of the hands, which is essential. And then I got Jake. He's obsessed with his coffee. Mr. has a coffee with him all the time. I'm actually gonna steal this one as well because it's so cute. So that brings me to my next Christmas read, Let It Snow. I originally picked this up because of this man right here, John Green. Just like him as a person, I adore. But I also love his writing. I haven't actually read all his books. That is on my next year's to-do list. Completely accidentally stumbled upon this book. I was in a thrift store. I'm living in the UK right now, and the thrifting scene for books, people just don't keep their books, which Happy to help. But anyway, so I found this in a thrift store. I noticed John's name and I was like, hold on, you sir have written a winter romance? Yes, I'm in. Alrighty, let's get into it. Okay, so what I know so far, it is 3 authors, but it is one plot. Essentially, we start off with Jubilee, who, because her parents went to a fair to try and get this really rare collectible, they ended up in jail, so she had to go on this train, go to her grandparents, because otherwise she was going to be alone for Christmas, and she's like 15. Anyway, the train gets stopped because of this huge snowstorm. She ends up in this really cute little town called Gracetown. She has her little story. Then we go into a second story by John Green, and this is told from a different perspective of different people in town. That's kind of where I'm up to at the moment. It's really cute so far. I think I'm gonna polish this off really quickly. All right, I officially wrapped up Let It Snow. It was so cute, such a fun little read. Loved the first story. The second story was pretty good. And then the third story essentially took place on the day of Christmas, the day after Christmas. I felt quite bad for that author because it felt like they were tasked with wrapping up the previous 2 stories as well as telling their own story. That one fell a little bit for me, but overall, as a whole, it was really cute. Since then, I actually started Dave Sedaris' Santaland Diaries. If you're actually from the US, your version of this will be called Holidays on Ice, I believe. I started it. The first one is hilarious. It essentially is written from the perspective of he's gone to work at this department store in New York, working as an elf. There were so many funny quotes in the first essay, just observing people at Christmas being crazy and how bizarre we get at Christmas. So if you find that kind of thing interesting and you want to laugh at Christmas, I love Dave Sedaris. He always makes me have a giggle and just look at the curiosity of being a human. For now, I've swapped gears. I may pick that one up. I don't know, we'll see. But I've moved on to Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. Essentially, this book is, I think it's going to be a second chance romance, which I love. We see Charlotte, who is a violinist in a quartet in New York. And then we have Brighton, who is a guitarist living in Nashville. We kind of like jump between their perspectives. I'm going to get into this one today, see if we can get this all done before the Christmas markets in a few days. Do you want to come read with me? I'm just gonna read. Okay, yes, you can be here. Yes, come on, up. Getting no reading done by the girl. Okay, good morning. Okay, it is officially the last day before the markets. We're gonna need to get into this, but first, got a package delivered this morning, which is it came late, by the way, our advent calendar for our coffee of the month. I'm so excited. So I'm gonna make myself a coffee, and then I'm gonna sit down with a coffee and get into this reading. Okay, so the art didn't quite work out, but I think it'll do the trick. Okay, so little update. We're kind of figuring out they were like best friends growing up for like 10 years. Charlotte had a bit of a rough family situation, and so then Bright had become Charlotte's kind of like safe space. And we find out that Brighton left her at the altar 5 years ago. We don't know why, and they haven't spoken since. So then when Charlotte sees Brighton for the first time at the cabin, she just completely ignores her, which I was like, it's giving poor communication so far. So each of them have come with a different friend, which happens to be siblings, if that makes sense. And so the siblings, their mum, Nina, I want to say it's Nina, essentially, because they all seem to be single. You sign them up for this like local Christmas dating thing, which is kind of cute. So we're just getting into that now, and we're getting some jealousy vibes. We're getting some of that, which is kind of fun. So yeah, okay. So we're going to keep going. I'm going to take Maya for a walk, and then we're going to decorate this tree tonight. And then I just have tomorrow to power through this. Yeah. Wish me luck. Okay, so I just got back.
Production copyright 2020 by...
It feels illegal that I should be even able to count this, but I wanted something to listen to while I was walking, and I remembered that I had on my TBR for this challenge A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and I was like, not really in the mood to sit down and read a classic, and I just still can't believe that I never have. Anyway, I found it in the Audible is part of like the premium membership. It's just included. If you have Audible, you'll find it there. You can download it. It's awesome. Anyway, this one in particular was performed by Hugh Grant. It was so good. It's illegal that this should be accounted as a book. It's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So yeah, I smashed through that in a big walk and I loved it. It was so good, really cute. The fact that it was narrated by Hugh Grant also, double win. I just feel like I paired Love Actually and a classic. And I honestly just don't have any excuse that I haven't listened to this previously. I think that because I had heard so much about it so often that I was like, yeah, I know the story. I don't need to read it. Wrong. It's so good. It's well written. It's cute. If you are like me and you're kind of rolling it out because you don't want to sit down and read it, do this. Would recommend. Okay, it's official. It is Christmas market day. I'm freaking out because yes, we got the Christmas tree up, but I have not done Christmas cards. And you know what they say? If you can't tell someone you love them at Christmas, when can you? You know? Literally any time, actually. I just wanted to say the quote because it's so iconic. But yeah, seriously, I have to get these Christmas cards done because if I don't, they won't get done. So I've got an hour and a half right now. I'm going to do that. I also have to debrief you on this book. I have feelings. We need to discuss it. And I want to wrap up the other books because I didn't really talk about Krampus fully yet. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to multitask. I'm going to do some Christmas cards. We're going to debrief. Let's get into it. Okay, so first point of call is discussing this book. Essentially, I'm about 60% through. I think the last update I gave, I was probably about 40% through, and not much has changed. So we were seeing the characters being put in a forced proximity where they were essentially retelling their past history and kind of unpacking all this. And I think where I started to lose it was we just kept being put in situations where the characters were in forced proximity and they just weren't communicating and one of them would leave. I just found that frustrating, and so I think for whatever reason that just wasn't hitting home for me, which is very odd because I love Happy Place. It has a very similar concept, kind of similar bones to be honest. The major difference that I can think of is that they don't have to pretend to be a couple. That one just didn't kind of do it for me, so I'm gonna actually not finish that one, which is kind of sad. But I'm definitely gonna revisit it at a later point because it's very possible that now that I think about it, I read it after a 5-star read, which we're going to get into, which could have just tainted the experience because that does happen sometimes. You know, you get the down after the high. So it's possible. Anyway, that brings me to my 5-star read for this challenge, which was Krampus. It is official. After having finished all these books, I cannot stop thinking about it. It is so good. I actually said that I was not going to order the physical copy because the cover scared me. I lied. I absolutely ordered it. I'm so excited. Pretty much within 3 days of finishing it, I wanted to start it again and read it through again because I loved it so much. So essentially, I think where I last left off, we had Jesse, who had the sack and was then taken to meet Krampus because he had the sack. They essentially then went on this big adventure trying to like shut down Santa and bring back Yuletide, which is kind of the pagan version of Christmas, I guess. And it was just really fun. We got to see a lot of myth in play, and there was this really beautiful secondary arc. Pagan myth is all about like fear, and humans need to do this because they need to believe in something that's bigger than them because things happen, death happens, like all these things that are out of our control happen, and we used to a lot more turn to an array of gods to cope with that. And Krampus is having this almost like existential crisis of where is his worth, how is he necessary in this new modern world where humans have built fortresses and don't need those gods anymore. And it started this really interesting discourse around the role of belief, and I just think that's such a cool through line. I'm getting shivers. And there was a little bit of crime and a little bit of murder and gruesome, like darkish fantasy as well in there, which I'm pretty sure I had some clips of me like cringing because it was pretty graphic. Look, I'm not going to say anything more because I want you to go read it, but if you have any inclining to learn about pagan tradition and a different spin on Christmas and like mythology, I could not recommend it more. It was such a fun read. I like a lot. Alrighty, let's write some cards. Alrighty, let's go to the markets. Well, markets were a touch disappointing and very overstimulating, but that's okay because I can officially say that a week of reading and Christmas festivities, I'm feeling festive, but not for the reasons I thought. You see, this week I realized something. Whether you spend December baking cookies with family or you find yourself alone, the Christmas spirit isn't just how we spend these 25 days. In fact, Dickens said it best. In the words of Scrooge, I will honor Christmas in my heart, and I will try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirit of all three shall strive within me. And what better way to end the year than to honor your past, enjoy the gift of the present, and dream up a better future. Oh, and read more books, obviously. Merry Christmas.